Hello there, Brightsiders! These riddles are gonna be a bit different than usual. No witches, detectives, or whatever. Let's go! Take a look at this pic. On the left, you've got a set of words. They're not linked to each other in any way. On the right, you've got a set of weirdly shaped geometrical objects. Your task is to match each word to the corresponding objects. Alrighty, let's see the answers. Voila! Let me break it down for you. It's necessary to look for external similarities between words and pictures. This is called word recognition. We recognize words as a whole, not by individual letters. Easier to spot spelling errors. That's why we can read abbreviations. We recognize familiar words even if letters are missing. Next one. You gotta use your math skills here. So, in front of you lies a whole treasure. 10 bags, each of which contains 1,000 coins. 9 sacks contain real gold coins, and 1 contains extremely fake ones. A real gold coin weighs 5 grams, while a fake one weighs 4 grams. How to determine in one weighing on the scales which of the bags contains fake coins? The scales are accurate, but there is only one approach to them. Here's the right approach. We take 1 coin from the first bag, 2 from the second, 3 from the third, and so on, up to 10 coins. Weigh these 55 coins. Gold coins could weigh 275 grams. If 1 gram is missing, then fake coins are in the first bag. If 2 grams are missing, then fake coins are in the second bag, and so on. It's curious that this task is easily scalable. The number of bags is not important. At least 3, at least 1,000, everything is solved by 1 weighing. This riddle got pretty viral on TikTok, but in case you missed it, you can try to solve it right now. He claims that according to the FBI, if you solve this riddle, you're smart enough to become a special agent. So, a man and a woman go out to dinner on their first date. The evening is very hot, and they bring water with ice. The woman is terribly thirsty, and she drinks 3 glasses in 1 gulp. A man drinks 1 glass in small sips throughout the evening. Later, he writes to her that he suddenly became ill. Weakness, dizziness, breathing problems. At midnight, he passes away. The police call the woman in for questioning and announce that there was poison in her glass and in the man's glass. It was poison, so why did the man get poisoned and the woman not? I'm sure you already guessed the poison was in the ice. The woman drank so fast that the ice cubes had no time to melt, so the poison had no effect on her. The man drank slowly and the ice melted, so he swallowed poisonous water. I guess pretty much any Brightsider can become a special agent. Now, look at this picture. Keep in mind that it's not that simple and only 1% of people can figure out what's wrong with this image. Hey, look closer. The woman in the red dress on the right doesn't have an umbrella, but she doesn't get wet. 2 coins are worth 30 cents. One of them is not 5 cents. What are these coins? This one was easy. 25 cents and 5 cents. 1 coin is not 5 cents, but the second is 5 cents. Look at this picture closely, because the riddle is all about your attention. Now tell me, what time is in the picture? To make it a little bit easier, I'm going to give you a couple of options. A. It's 5 a.m. B. It's 11 a.m. C. It's 7 a.m. Take a look at the long shadows and the snow lying on the cars and the burning lanterns. Well, I guess it's 7 o'clock in the morning in the picture. Look at the picture. Do you spot anything weird here? The shipping deck seems to be way too slim. Seems like it was built after the ship had arrived at the port. Allison is quite a picky eater. She likes grapes, but she can't stand peaches. She's into squash, but she never eats carrots. So now you have to figure out what Allison prefers, pumpkins or apples. This girl may be finicky, but she does have some logic. She only eats things that grow on vines, so she's gonna prefer pumpkins over apples. There's a clerk at the butcher shop. He's 6 feet tall and he wears size 13 sneakers. What does he weigh? Of course, it's meat. There's a word in the English language in which the first 2 letters signify a male, the first 3 letters signify a female, the first 4 letters signify a great man, and the whole word means a great woman. Can you guess this word? It's the word heroine. A hen and a half lays an egg and a half in a day and a half. How many eggs does one hen lay in one day? Yeah, it's pretty hard to think of a hen and a half. As for an egg and a half, I can only imagine it in a cooked form. 1.5 days is the easiest criterion here. So, with all the given information, it must be that one hen would lay 1 egg in the same time period. 1.5 days. But if one hen lays 1 egg in 1.5 days, it means that one hen would lay only 2/3 of an egg in one day. So the answer is 2/3 of an egg. A young man wants to have it, but when he grows up, he no longer wants it. He attacks it with a blade in his hands, but it's always in vain. What is it? It's a beard. Hey, I've got a riddle rhyme for you. I'm rather large and usually majestic. I'm every hue of the rainbow. I can eat you. I may heat you. You only wish you could see me. What am I? It's a dragon. The last but not the least. Get ready. This one's gonna be pretty long. Carl's 2 grandmothers want to see him every weekend, but they live on the opposite sides of town. Not to offend any of the grannies, he tells them that every Sunday he'll head to the subway station nearest to his apartment at a random time of the day and will hop on the next train that arrives. If it happens to be the train traveling north, he'll visit his grandma Erica uptown. And if it happens to be the train traveling south, he'll visit his grandma Liz downtown. Both of his grandmothers are okay with this plan, since they both know the northbound and southbound trains run every 20 minutes. But after a few months of doing this, Grandma Liz complains that she sees him only 1 out of 5 Sundays. Carl claims he chooses a random time each day. How can this be? Keep in mind that the trains always arrive at their scheduled times. Although both trains come exactly every 20 minutes, the timing matters a lot. Let's imagine the northbound train comes on the hour, on the 20, and on the 40. So at 8, 8:20, 8:40, 9, etc. Now let's suppose the southbound train comes on the 4, 24, and 44. So 8:04, 8:24, 8:44, 9:04, etc. This means in any hour, there will be only 12 minutes in which the southbound train will be the next train to arrive. So, if Carl arrives between 8 and 8:04, between 8:20 and 8:24, or between 8:40 and 8:44, he'll get on the southbound train. Otherwise, he'll get on the northbound train. But as Carl always comes at a random time, and the southbound train supposedly arrives after the northbound trains, Carl gets to see his grandma Liz pretty rarely. A beauty contest is taking place in the city. Melanie wins and gets her beauty queen crown. After the contest, a cleaning lady finds Melanie lying unconscious backstage. The detective arrives at the crime scene in 20 minutes. He asks the suspects just one question. "What were you doing within the last 20 minutes?" Holly, the rival, says, "I was taking selfies with my boyfriend." Steve, the photographer, says, "I was taking pictures of the contestants." Mr. Bold, the judge, says, "I was talking to my wife." And the cleaning lady, Stella, says, "I just found Melanie and called 911 right away. And then I just stayed with her until the doctor's arrival." Who's lying? Steve. There's Melanie in his pictures. Therefore, he couldn't have taken them within the last 20 minutes. Bella comes on a famous TV show for money. Her last task is to put her hand in one of 3 tanks. There are gold bars in each of them. She's allowed to get them if she can. One tank is filled with boiling water, and the second one with acid that will burn any flesh. And the third tank is filled with venomous scorpions. Which tank should Bella put her hand in? Bella should just wait until the boiled water cools off and use the first tank. James is walking in the woods. Suddenly, he spots a leprechaun. James grabs the creature and asks him, "Where's your gold? Answer me now!" The leprechaun says,
"It's under this tree. Just let me go."
James replies, I don't have a shovel. I have to go home. But how can I find this place later?" James comes up with an idea. He ties a red ribbon over the tree to recognize it among the others. And then James makes the leprechaun swear not to take off the ribbon. But the leprechaun finds a way to hide his gold from James without breaking the oath. What did he do? He tied a red ribbon on every tree in this forest. Tricky leprechauns. Holly and Sally prepare a new prank. They go to school at 5 a.m. and sneak into the classroom. Suddenly, they see a bat turning into their biology teacher. They spend all day staring at her. Is there any proof that she's a vampire? Take a look at her coat. She's hiding a very peculiar object in her pocket. Let's take a closer look at this group of people. One of the ladies is kidnapped. Can you guess who? It's the lady on the right. If the left lady was kidnapped, she wouldn't have had a handbag with her. Megan arrives from work and finds out that her cat is missing.
She must have sneaked out from the window.
Megan goes around the neighborhood and questions 3 possible witnesses. Molly says,
"I've just arrived from work. I didn't see any cats on the way."
Mrs. Darling says,
"I already have 15 cats. Why do I need yours?"
Victor says, "I'm allergic to most animals, so I've never had any pets. And I don't know how to help you." Who's lying? Victor. There are cat footprints in his garden leading to a pet door on his porch. So he obviously has a pet. 4 people in Halloween costumes robbed a bank. But eventually, they get caught and arrested the same night. One of them is only 12 years old. Can you guess who? This guy. His hands are too small for these handcuffs. Which lady is richer? The lady on the right. Her name is engraved on a handbag. and another woman is proudly wearing it. On Monday afternoon, students find their math teacher unconscious in the classroom. Someone attacked him during the lunch break. The police suspect that the criminal is one of the students. Can you spot this person? The teacher grabbed the attacker's shirt and ripped it. This guy doesn't wear a shirt. Therefore, he's a criminal. James and Molly have been married for 5 years, but they haven't taken a vacation yet. Finally, they decide to go to the ocean. To get there, they have to cross the border. The guard says, "You have to tell me the password if you want to pass." Can you help them crack the password? You should literally count the number of benches, trees, and apples in this area. So the code is 471. Dan and Sam are hanging out on a beach. Dan plays volleyball and then goes to a beach cafe to have some drinks. Dan tries his coconut. Soon after that, he feels sick and faints. Sam calls 911 and they take Dan to the hospital. The policeman questions 3 suspects. Sam says, "He drank a coconut from this cafe and felt sick. I think the waiter poisoned him." The waiter says, "Why would I do that? Dan played volleyball before coming here and won the game. Perhaps his opponent decided to get revenge." And Kyle, the opponent, replies, "We finished the game and I went swimming in the sea." Who poisoned Dan? Take a look at the score. Dan lost the game. Therefore, the waiter lied about his winning to frame Kyle. Sheila is taking a boat trip, but not all passengers are humans. Can you spot who's not? Take a look at the broomstick. It's levitating. She's a witch. It's a sunny Sunday morning. Gia and her daughter Lizzie are watching TV. According to the forecast, it will be a rainy and windy day today. Gia says, "Lizzie, please don't go outside today. You may catch a cold." Gia goes shopping and leaves Lizzie home alone. She comes back in about 2 hours. It was raining, and Gia immediately realizes that Lizzie did go outside. How did she know? Someone moved the umbrella. Kelly arrives at a hotel where she booked a room. The manager says that she can choose a room. There are 4 available options. Can you help Kelly make the right choice? There's a stinky dump behind the window in the first room. As for the second room, there's someone watching through this painting. And there's a zombie in the closet in the 4th room. So Kelly should stay in the 3rd room. Jack is a successful lawyer. He has a small country house where he lives alone. Once he goes on a business trip, 5 days later he gets home and discovers that someone has entered his office. His enemies must have searched it. How did he know? Someone lowered his chair. Stella goes to her favorite cafeteria to have lunch. She can choose one of 3 combos. But she's allergic to seafood, all green vegetables, and all red berries. Can you help her choose the safest option? First of all, let's exclude the 3rd lunch. There are shrimp swimming in this soup. The chicken burrito combo looks good, but the dessert contains red berries. So, Stella should choose the lasagna. Lisa breaks her phone and goes to the service center. There, she meets 3 workers. One of them is an imposter. Can you guess who? This first guy. He's using a regular fork to repair the device. Peter is walking in a garden. He takes some pretty pictures of the full moon. Suddenly, someone pushes him from behind and he faints. After a while, Peter wakes up in a creepy basement. A mysterious voice says that Peter can escape through one of these 3 doors. There are multiple wolves behind the first door. They haven't been eating for 2 years, so they're very hungry and angry. There's a forest full of venomous monsters behind the second door. They hate humankind, and it's impossible to get through them alive. And there's a creepy werewolf waiting behind the third door. Which way is more or less safe? Room 2 is a bad idea. It's a full moon. So room 3 is also unsafe. Therefore, Peter should choose the first door. Wolves can't survive without food for 2 years. Wendy is preparing a college project in a co-working space. She leaves her laptop on the table and goes to the bathroom. Then she returns and finds out that her laptop is gone. Who stole it? It's the lady on the right. Her hoodie pocket has an odd square shape. Billy is a young and ambitious blogger. She's shooting a makeup tutorial for her TikTok. Can you spot anything odd here? The mirror in the background should reflect her back, not her front part. Billy gets an invitation to visit a meetup for famous influencers. This party is epic. Good music, delicious food, and beautiful people. Moreover, every VIP guest gets a bag full of expensive gifts. Suddenly, Billy sees Sebastian. He's a famous video blogger with 20 million followers. And her secret crush. Can you guess which one of these guys is Sebastian? The first guy looks pretty chic, but he has a fake bag, so it's unlikely that he's an influencer. Let's take a look at the remaining 2 guys. Sebastian has millions of followers. Therefore, he's 100% a VIP guest. Only the third guy carries the gift bag, so he's Sebastian. Billy and Sebastian fall in love, but they want to keep it a secret. That's why they spend a romantic weekend in a forest cabin away from the paparazzi. But unfortunately, someone leaked their picture, and now all the tabloids discuss their secret date. Only 3 people knew about this trip. Billy questions them. Harry, the driver, says, "I brought you to the cabin on Saturday and picked you up on Sunday, just like you asked. I didn't tell anyone because I signed a non-disclosure agreement." Billy's assistant, Amy, says, "I booked the cabin under my own name so that no one would figure out that you're hosting celebrities." And Sebastian's sister, Bianca, says, "I didn't tell anyone about your date. I was feeling sick. I had to stay home alone because my daughters were at school." Who's lying? Bianca, schools are closed on weekends. A new spa salon invites Billy over for a promotion campaign. She goes to the pedicure room and sees these 3 clients. One of them is a werewolf. Can you guess who? It's the second lady. Take a look at her feet. After the sauna, Billy goes to the shower and washes her hair. Unfortunately, someone pranked her by replacing the shampoo with paint. Can you guess who did it? The lady on the right is guilty. There's paint on her hand. Billy decides to eat in her favorite restaurant. She enters and sees these 3 guys. Can you guess who's having a date? It looks like the first guy is having a romantic dinner with his book. And the third gentleman has 1 set of dishes. Meanwhile, the second guy has 2 plates on his table and he's hiding a small gift in his pocket. So he's the only one who's waiting for his date. Sebastian invites Billy to a family dinner to introduce her to his mother, Prudence. They arrive and find her in the middle of a quarrel with the police. Prudence claims that her housemaid stole her antique pearl necklace, but the housemaid denies everything. Who's lying? Prudence. The pearls are in her hair. The next day, Billy goes hiking with her friends. They take some pictures for her blog. Can you spot 3 differences between these photos? Over here. What about these 2 pictures? Can you find 5 differences? Here they are. Billy meets her old friends. They haven't seen each other for 5 years. Billy has to make a quick phone call, and she walks outside. In a couple of minutes, she comes back and sees her friend Luna lying unconscious on the bathroom floor. There's a weird mark on her cheek. The waitress says that it looks like a vampire's bite. One of Billy's friends must have turned into a vampire. She decides to invite her friends for lunch to find out who exactly. Guys, let's have a picnic on the beach tomorrow and discuss who bit Luna. How can Billy identify the vampire? Billy should invite her friends to the beach. The one who would refuse to go there must be a vampire. Billy throws a birthday party at her house. She only eats plants. That's why she hires the most trendy cook to prepare a classy vegetarian dinner. The party goes great. Everyone has fun. The next day, Billy finds out that someone had replaced salt and sugar in her kitchen jars. Billy questions 4 suspects. The cook says, "Miss, I wouldn't have become a celebrity chef if I wasted my time on silly pranks." Dan says, "I gorged myself on chicken nuggets at the very beginning of the party, and then I stayed away from the kitchen and the food." Emma says, "I think I saw someone rummaging through the kitchen when I was swimming in the pool." And Sebastian says, "That wasn't me, but you should check everyone's phones. The prankster probably filmed everything." Who's lying? Damn, it was a veggie party. He couldn't have eaten the chicken nuggets. Billy wants to find her new business partners, so she's visiting a conference and meets 3 people. Each person offers Billy a collaboration. Megan says, "I developed my own fashion line and I've recently launched my first offline boutique. Would you like to be the face of my brand?" Jeanette says, "I run the largest marketing company in the country. If you sign an exclusive contract with me, I'll find the best deals for you." And Francois says, "Lady, you should sell beauty products under your own name. I can help you launch a business." Only one of these offers isn't fake. Can you guess which one? Take a closer look at Francois. He has stolen someone else's badge, so he's an imposter. And Jeanette is wearing a waitress uniform under her fancy jacket. It's unlikely that she's a company owner, so Billy should trust Megan. The next week, Megan invites Billy to a photo shoot. Billy arrives at the studio, but the door is locked. She needs to enter a 5-number code. Her phone battery has discharged, and unfortunately, she doesn't remember the code by heart. Do you have any clue what it might be? we should take a look at this poster and count the number of petals in each daisy. So the code is 58677. Billy enters the studio and sees Megan, the photographer and stylist, and a bunch of pretty clothes and shoes. Can you count the exact number of shoes in this picture? The correct answer is 13. 4 people are wearing 8 shoes, plus 5 more are scattered around the studio. The photo shoot is about to begin, but suddenly the lights turn off for 30 seconds. When the power is back again, Billy finds out that her smartwatch is missing. She questions 3 suspects. The stylist says, "I was cleaning my makeup sponge when the lights turned off. I didn't move from my place." The photographer says, "I have my own smartwatch. Why would I need yours?" And Megan says, "Come on, you're a famous influencer. Why would I ruin my own reputation?" Who's lying? The photographer. Billy's watch is wrapped around his camera lens. After work, Billy meets Sebastian in their favorite restaurant. They ask the waiter to take their picture. He takes 2. Can you spot 10 differences between them? Here they are. After dinner, they go for a walk. Can you spot 3 odd things here? Fish swim on the surface of this window. Also, this lady is wearing a snake instead of a scarf. And this taxi is driven by a raccoon.
Tyson was thinking about buying a gym membership. There were only 3 gyms in the area where he lived. The first one was called Iron Muscles Gym, the second one was called Stronger You Gym, and the third one was called Fit for Life Gym. Now take a look inside all of them. Which one should he choose? Do you see the clean towels wardrobe inside the Stronger You Gym? They don't look clean at all. It's not the best option unless he loves germs. And take a closer look at the running mill inside the Fit for Life Gym. It's broken. That's an accident waiting to happen. So he should pick the Iron Muscles Gym. Ellie and Ollie were looking for a nice hotel to spend their vacation together with their puppy. After checking out some places online, they brought down their options to 3. Take a look at the website of each of them. Which one should they pick? Do you notice the small stock photo sign on the photos of the first hotel's website? That can only mean they are scamming people. The second hotel seems like a good option since it's a 5-star one. But do you see the small sign on the website that says, "No pets allowed"? They can't go there with their puppy, so they should stay at the 3rd hotel. James and Jonathan went camping in the woods. As they were searching for the perfect place to set their tents, they came across a river that only had one bridge to cross to the other side. However, as soon as they stepped on it, a troll appeared in front of them and said, "I'll only let you pass if you answer my riddle. Until I am measured, I am not known. Yet how you miss me when I have flown. What am I?" The answer is time. Hillary was sitting in her hotel room when someone knocked on her door. She opened it and saw a man whom she had never seen before. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I have made a mistake. I thought this was my room." He then walked back to the elevator. Hillary immediately locked the door after him and called hotel security. What do you think made her so suspicious? Nobody knocks on their own hotel door, but the man did that. Captain Bluebeard was traveling the sea with his crew. At one time during their voyage, 2 of his sailors were standing on opposite sides of the ship. One of them was looking west, and the other one was looking east. But at the same time, they could see each other clearly as well. How is that possible? The sailors had their backs against either ends of the ship. Newton and Curie were two history professors from Planet Q. To complete their planet Earth research, they had to explore a place the Earthlings used to call a school. There, they found a piece of paper with a handwritten number on it, but couldn't come to an agreement about what the number was. Newton was saying it was 6, and Curie was saying it was 9. Who was correct? Do you see this teeny tiny dot here? That can only mean the number is 9. So, Curie is right.
Yeah.
The Foggy Mountains region of the Kingdom of Endolia was occupied by the most vicious dragon. The king called Knight Samuel to go on a quest to defeat it and take all the gold it stole from the people back.
Yeah.
So, Knight Samuel hopped on his horse and reached the mountains after a long journey. Once the dragon saw him, it said if Knight Samuel knew all 3 of its riddles correctly, it would leave the mountains as well as all the gold. The first one was, soft and fragile as my skin, I get my growth in mud. I'm dangerous as much as pretty, for if not careful, I draw blood. What am I? It's a thorn. You're a clever one, Knight Samuel, the dragon said. Here's my second riddle. I am a box that holds keys without locks, yet they can unlock your soul. What am I? The answer is a piano. I have only one riddle left for you, but be very careful. If you can't answer it correctly, this kingdom shall be mine. When you went into the woods, you got me. You hated me, yet you wanted to find me. You went home with me because you couldn't find me. What was it? The answer is a splinter. Annie forgot her computer in her dorm room, but she urgently needed to use one to submit her school paper. Her mom had a laptop in the study room, but it was password protected. However, she was easily able to figure out the password. How did she do it? Take a closer look at the bookcase inside the room. Some of the books have letters instead of their titles on the side labels. This book has the letter A, this one has N, another N here, there's an I on this book's label, and this one has an E. So the password is Annie. Professor Guillermo was the headmaster of the Academy for Superheroes. He was also responsible for holding examinations to select new students for the Academy. There were only 3 students left who successfully made it to the last part of this year's exam. To pass it, they all needed to show Professor Guillermo their special power. The first student's power was going invisible. The second student could make objects fly. And the third student could bend metal with her mind. However, Professor Guillermo realized that one of them was an imposter. Which one is it? Take a closer look at the object that the second student is levitating. Do you see the small on-off button here? That can only mean it's actually some tech device that can fly on its own. So he is the imposter. Jane was competing at Who Wants to Be a Billionaire? And she was only one question away from the $1 billion prize. The question was, it's true, I bring serenity and hang around the stars, but yet I live in misery, you'll find me behind bars. With thieves and villains I consort, in prison I'll be found, but I would never go to court unless there's more than one. What am I? It's the letter S. Dylan was going to buy a new car. The salesman showed him 3 options. Which one should he choose? Take a look at the side door of the first car. The paint on here is chipped. It's not wise to get a car that's already damaged. The third car's left tire rim is cracked. This one is also a pass. So he should get the second car. Catherine has 4 daughters, and each of her daughters has a brother. How many children in total does Catherine have? Each daughter has the one and the same brother, so she has 5 kids. Rachel and Ashley were best friends, but one of them was living in Japan, and the other in the United States. Rachel had purchased a BFF bracelet for Ashley and wanted to mail it to her. However, the only way to make sure the bracelet would be received was to place a lock on the package. Rachel had locks and Ashley had locks, but neither had keys for each other's locks. How can they ensure the bracelet isn't stolen? Rachel should place a lock on the package and send it to Ashley. Ashley then should place one of her locks on the package and send it back to Rachel. Rachel removes her lock and sends the package back to Ashley. Marla goes to the grocery store and buys 1 dozen eggs. As she's going home, all but 3 eggs break. How many eggs are left unbroken? The answer is hidden in the question. She has 3 eggs left.
Hi, my favorite detective. I've got a new portion of tricky riddles for you to train your sharp mind. Let's start.
Yeah.
One summer night, Emily threw a big party. But in the morning, she discovered that someone had stolen all her jewelry and money.
Oh no!
The police have 3 suspects: Daniel, Emily's boyfriend, Lily, her best friend, and Hannah, the girl's sister. Daniel told the police that he'd been playing computer games with his friend all night long. Lily felt sick and went home in the middle of the night. She said she knew nothing about the theft when the police called her. And Hannah said that she had stayed at the party till 7 a.m. and then had taken a taxi home because nobody could give her a lift. It was dark and she couldn't see anything. Who was lying? Hannah. At 7 a.m. in the summer, it's already light outside. One day, a famous soccer coach went missing right from the changing rooms. The police had 3 suspects, and all of them were from his team. Brandon said that after the training, he'd stayed on the pitch to practice a bit more. He hadn't been to the changing room yet. Andrew swore that after the training, he had gone outside to meet with his girlfriend. And James said, "When I was leaving the changing room, the coach was still there." Who's behind the disappearance of the coach? It's Brandon. He said he hadn't been to the changing room yet. But look, he's wearing not his uniform, but his street clothes. Once, a mad professor kidnapped Zoe and held her in his house. Was he planning to experiment on her? There was no way the young woman could escape. But one day, the scientist got bored.
"You'll have to make breakfast for me tomorrow. If I like it, I'll let you go. If not, no one will hear about you again."
In the morning, Zoe went to the kitchen and started cooking. But when she turned away from the stove, the scientist threw a whole box of salt into the pot. However, when Zoe served him breakfast, he realized he had to set the girl free. Can you figure out what Zoe cooked? The girl boiled eggs. A man on a motorbike crashed into the window of Mr. Ruby's store, grabbed several expensive watches, and drove away. When the police arrived, Mr. Ruby told them that he was almost sure it had been his nephew, Patrick. The officers went to visit the guy. Because of a heavy downpour, it took them 1 hour to get there. Patrick was at home, together with his friend. "Look at the weather. I haven't been outside since yesterday." Patrick's friend confirmed his words, but the police didn't believe their story and arrested Patrick. Why? The guy's helmet is hanging on his motorbike. If it had been there since the previous day, it would have been filled with rainwater by now. 4 friends went to a cafe together. Two of them, Linda and Mike, ordered a large pot of blueberry tea. Kirsten took some lemonade, and Oscar opted for orange juice. Half an hour later, Linda and Mike lost consciousness and were rushed to a hospital. When the police analyzed the tea they had drunk, they found poison in it. The main suspects were, of course, Kirsten and Oscar. Why didn't they drink the tea? Kirsten said that she didn't like tea with berries, and Oscar explained that he was allergic to blackberries. Who is the culprit? It's Oscar. He said he was allergic to blackberries, but the tea his friends drank was with blueberries. David worked at a construction site. Once, someone attacked him, and the unconscious man was taken to a hospital. Police officers who arrived to investigate the case had 3 suspects who also worked at the construction site: Alex, Ryan, and John. Alex said, "I was putting all tiles on the roof when the accident happened." Ryan confessed that he'd been sleeping under the tree, and John claimed that he'd been laying bricks at that time. Can you figure out who's lying? Alex was the one to hurt David. The building has no roof yet, so he couldn't be putting tiles up there. You've bought a cute little rabbit at a pet store. The animal can breed every 2 months, and every time it will deliver 5 babies. How many rabbits will you have in a year? You'll have just 1 rabbit. If you want to have little bunnies, you have to buy 2 rabbits. Look at these people attentively. Who is a mer person? Pay attention to every little detail. It's the guy on the right. Look, his hands are webbed. Allison won the main prize of $1 million on a game show. But when the shooting was over, it turned out that the host of the show had disappeared, together with the prize. The police managed to log into the computer in his office. They saw that the host had sent this message to his girlfriend. It looked like the host had told his girlfriend where he was going. The police went to the airport, but which flight was the host going to catch? Can you figure it out? Now let's see, the first 2 letters of Atlas are AT. If we take 3 letters from the word land, it'll leave us with LAN. And the 2 first letters of tattoo are TA. Together, these letters make up the word Atlanta. Hurry to the gate, officers! Jack got lost in the woods. Suddenly, he saw a castle. The man rushed there and was greeted by the owner of the castle.
You have to answer just 1 question. If you win, I'll show you the way out of the forest. But if you lose, you'll never leave my castle.
Jack agreed. The owner asked,
There are 4 mirrors on the wall. One of them reflects fire-spitting dragon Nirin. The second, beautiful mermaid Laura. In the 3rd mirror, you can see a terrifying vampire Sam. And in the 4th, unicorn David. You have to figure out which reflection isn't real, and fast.
The reflection of Vampire Sam isn't real. Vampires can't be reflected in mirrors. A businessman arrived at his office after a long trip and discovered that some important documents had disappeared from his desk. He immediately called the police, and a detective arrived shortly after. After interviewing all the workers, he had a list with 3 suspects on it. They were Emma, the accountant, Sophia, the receptionist, and James, a sales manager. But each of these people claimed that they hadn't even been inside the businessman's office. Still, it didn't take long until the detective figured out who was lying. Can you do the same? The thief is James. Both women wear high heels in the office, but the footprints on the floor are obviously left by sneakers. You throw me when you need me and pick me up when you don't need me. Can you figure out what I am? Right you are. I'm an anchor. How can you increase 66 by 1.5 if you aren't allowed to make any mathematical operations? Hurry up and crack this riddle. Just turn 66 upside down. It was Mr. and Mrs. Smith's wedding anniversary, and Mrs. Smith was going to put on diamond earrings her husband had presented her for their wedding. But when she opened her jewelry box, she saw that the earrings weren't there. She called her daughters, Dora and Laura. "I've told you so many times not to touch my things. Who took my jewelry this time?" Dora exclaimed, "I haven't touched your jewelry box." Laura also denied taking her mom's stuff. "I don't even wear earrings." Can you figure out which girl is lying? It was Laura who stole the earrings. Her mom didn't specify which piece of jewelry was missing.
Eric was deeply in love with Carrie, and he finally decided to ask her out. He wanted to make it romantic, so instead of texting her, he decided to write his invitation with chalk on the sidewalk right outside her window. It read, "Carrie, I'll be waiting for you in the restaurant Star tomorrow at 7 p.m. sharp." Carrie was also in love with Eric, and she would have come there with pleasure. Still, she never showed up. Why? Thing is, the rain started, and the invitation was washed away. Carrie simply didn't see it. I hope they work things out. Allison got lost in a forest and stumbled upon an old house. When she entered it, she saw a witch. She wasn't evil, though, so she said she could help Allison find a way home if she cracked a riddle. The witch asked Allison, "What kind of room can you neither enter nor leave?" Allison was smart, so she gave the right answer. "Can you crack it too?" I told you the witch wasn't evil. She even gave a small hint. Do you see a mushroom in her hand? Right, the answer is mushroom. A detective got an anonymous email about an upcoming heist in one of New York's museums. To stop it from happening, he needs to know the month the heist is planned for. Later, the police managed to find a clue. It was a note with a secret code. The police couldn't crack it, so they brought it to the detective. What month is the heist planned for? The detective cracked the code almost immediately. A jar in the picture stands for J, a ukulele stands for U, a nugget stands for N, and an eggplant stands for E. Ah, June. There are 70 floors in the apartment building. The higher the floor, the more people live there. Which floor does the elevator go to most often? It's the first floor. The residents of all floors go down to the first floor. A luxurious spa center got an anonymous call. Someone called to report a lady that's planning to steal expensive jewelry from the spa center visitors. The staff went to look for that lady to escort her out. Can you find her? Look, there's a lady having a pedicure. She doesn't look suspicious, but she's the only one who's not wearing a special bracelet. Security! The other day, Kelly was rummaging around her auntie's attic when she accidentally stumbled upon 5 short chains, each made of 4 silver links. She thought it could be great if she combined them all into one big chain of 20 links. When she went back to town, she brought those tiny chains to a jeweler. He told her it would cost $5 for each silver link that he would have to break and then reseal. How much will the chain cost? Kelly could do that for $25 if she told the jeweler to break a link in each chain. But she was really smart, so she asked the jeweler to break all 4 links in one chain and use them to attach the other chains, which cost her $20. A wise king decided to find someone who could replace him. He wanted to make a challenge, and the one who nailed it would become the new king. Anyone who wanted to take the throne needed to put a whole cucumber into a glass bottle without cutting the cucumber or damaging the bottle. The participants had a week to do it. This challenge seemed to be impossible, so only 5 people decided to take part, and there was only one winner. How did he put the cucumber in the bottle? He placed a baby cucumber, still on its stem, into the bottle. Cucumbers grow rather fast, so he had enough time to win that competition. And now he's king. They set the bar kinda low, didn't they? Joanna and Josh were on their honeymoon in Italy. On the first day, they went on a city tour around Venice and left all their stuff in the hotel room. When they came back, someone was standing outside their door trying to get in. The couple called the receptionist right away, but the man claimed Joanna and Josh owed him some money for the tours they'd taken in the past 4 days. The reception knew the man was lying right away. How did he figure it out? It was the couple's first day in the hotel. There's a barrel of water in the yard. You look inside and say that it's more than half full, but your friend argues that it's less than half full. How can you figure out who's right without using any measuring tools or removing water from the barrel? Tilt the barrel so that the water touches its rim. If you can see the bottom, the barrel's less than half full. If the bottom is still covered with water, it's more. 2 couples are about to get married. The hall is full of guests. The brides look stunning in these long white gowns, and the grooms seem to be completely happy. All of a sudden, one of the guests notices there's something wrong with one of the couples. Can you guess what? Look at this couple. These folks have no reflection at all. They must be vampires. In one of the galaxies, there's Planet Pink. There are many people, but few animals. Only hens and roosters live there. They can be of 3 different colors: pink, red, and yellow. Andrew went to that planet to see his friends for the weekend, and while he was walking down the street, he saw 3 bird couples in love. No bird can be with a partner of the same color. Can you guess the color of the partner of the red hen? It's the yellow rooster. The red hen can't go out with the red one, and the pink rooster, as you see, is madly in love with the yellow hen. Emily's aunt has bought a bottle of perfume for her niece's birthday. Sadly, she couldn't keep it, because Helga, her sister, is terribly allergic to perfumes. Emily brought it back to her aunt, who bought it for $65. The old lady sold it to someone for $80. Then she suddenly remembered she had one more niece, so she got it back for $70. Sally, the forgotten niece, turned out to be allergic too, so the auntie had to sell it again for $60. Did she make any profit? Yep, she made $5 and grabbed a Frappuccino for the same amount. You're trapped in a room that's slowly getting filled with water coming from a faucet in the wall. There are no windows in the room, and the door is sealed shut. You have a mop and a big bucket. So how are you going to get yourself out of this one? This one was simple. You just need to turn the faucet off. Sally works as a barista. She's the one who served Emily's aunt with that frappuccino. This morning, she dropped a cup full of coffee. Luckily, her white shirt wasn't stained, but it took her a while to clean up the mess. How come? There were coffee beans in the cup. They ended up right under the counter. After the bank had been robbed, the police found the money in the park among cacti. The police officers arrested all the suspects, and they almost immediately figured out who the bank robber was. Can you do the same in 10 seconds? This guy on the left has scratches left by cacti all over his body. Dennis was at home watching TV. All of a sudden, his wife's super expensive vase fell and broke in their bedroom. He ran into the room in time to see a stranger jump out the window and run away. Dennis tried to chase him, but his glasses fogged up because of the cold. That's why he couldn't identify who it was. When the police arrived, they listened to his story and immediately knew he was lying. Dennis made this story up not to tell his wife that he had broken the vase. How did they know this? Anyone who wears glasses knows that they don't fog up when you go from a warm room to the cold outdoors. It's the other way around. It's the finale of the Big Money Buzz Show, and Natalie is faced with a difficult task. There are 3 fish bowls, each of them containing a different amount of gold bars inside. If she manages to put her hand inside one of the bowls and take it out, she can keep the gold bar. The first bowl has scalding hot water inside of it. The second is filled with flesh-burning acid. And the last bowl has a couple of venomous scorpions walking around. Which bowl should she choose? Natalie should just wait until the water cools down and grab the gold bar from the first bowl. Bob was blindfolded and put into a shaky van. When he woke up, he was alone in a dark, empty room. There was nobody there, but there were 3 envelopes on the floor. A post-it on top of the envelope said, "Each envelope contains a red capsule and 2 statements. In one of these envelopes, both statements are false. In another envelope, both statements are true. You have to choose the correct capsule to get out of this alive." He opened the first envelope, saw a capsule and the messages: 1. Don't take this pill. 2. Take the pill from the second envelope. On the second envelope, the note said: 1. Don't take the pill from the first envelope. 2. Take the pill from the third envelope. And the last envelope said: 1. Don't take this pill. 2. Take the pill from the first envelope. Well, which capsule should Bob take? He should trust the pill from the third envelope. Let's see why. The first message of the first envelope is true, while the second is false. Both messages from the second envelope are true. This leaves us with 2 false statements on the third envelope. Timothy and Diana were strolling in a magic forest together when they ran into an evil witch. The witch captured Diana and took her to a haunted castle. Timothy managed to find the hidden castle and watched as the witch turned Diana into a frog. When the witch left the room, he snuck inside to turn Diana back into human form. He found a spell book that could help him and found out the recipe for the magic potion he had to make. He recognized most of the ingredients, but the last 2 were encrypted. Take a look at the witch's ingredient cabinet and try to help Timothy discover the last 2 ingredients he needs to make the magic potion. You got it! That's exactly what he needs. The day started busy in Fabertown. The police station got a call saying an undercover vampire was passing as a teacher at Middle Moon Elementary School. The officer went down there to check and found 3 possible suspects. Take a look at them and see if you can guess who the vampire is. It's the one in the middle. She's wearing sunglasses inside the cafeteria and drinking a very suspicious red drink. Yikes! Eric was coming home from a night out. As he reached the gate of his apartment, he heard the sound of someone bawling. He looked around, but no one was there. That's when he noticed something that scared him, and he shouted, "Ghosts! Ghosts! Someone help me!" Look at the image. Can you identify what Eric saw that scared him so much? The gate lamp isn't attached to the pole. It's floating in the air and somehow still shining bright. Well, this isn't right. Then Eric called his best friend, who also happened to be a renowned ghost hunter. That's convenient. His buddy Ray arrives, and his ghost watch immediately starts beeping. It leads them to the building's pool. At the pool, they see a girl swimming. Eric shouts, "Hey, why are you swimming in the pool so late at night? Here, let me help you get out." But Ray stops him, saying, "Don't do that." Why did Ray do it? Look at the pool. The girl is swimming, but there is no movement in the water. She must be a ghost. On the other side of town, Bobby is also ghost hunting. He called his friend Susan to visit the town's old creepy hotel and bust some ghosts. As they arrive, they find clear signs of ghost activity. It looked like that ghost had a sense of humor, though, and wanted to play hide and seek with them. The ghost led Bobby and Susan into a room with 4 doors. Each door had an inscription on it with clues to where the ghost might be hiding. The sign on door A says, "It's behind B or C." The sign behind door B says, "It's behind A or D." Door C says, "It's in here." And door D claims, "The ghost isn't here." Bobby and Susan looked very confused until a note appeared next to their feet saying, 3 of the inscriptions are false and 1 is true. Can you guess which door led to the ghost? Let's see how this would work. If the ghost was behind door A, then both B and D would be true. But if it was behind door B, then both A and D would be true. If the ghost was behind door C, then A, C, and D are all true. But if the ghost was behind door D, then the statements on all the other doors were false, except for that on door B. This matched the rules, so it was behind door D. To get into the best Halloween party in town, Becky had to solve a difficult riddle. There were 2 hourglasses in front of her. One hourglass measures 7 minutes, and the other measures 4 minutes. She needed to time 9 minutes using both hourglasses. How could you do it? First, she turned both hourglasses at the same time. By the time the 4-minute glass finished, there were still 3 minutes left on the other one. She flipped the 4-minute glass again. By the time the 7-minute glass was empty, there was 1 minute left on the other glass. And by the time the 4-minute glass emptied again, there was 1 minute's worth of sand in the bottom half of the 7-minute timer. She flipped it over again, so there's 1 minute's worth of sand on the top of the glass. And when the 7-minute timer finally emptied again, 9 minutes elapsed in total. Whew. Whew, that took some work. Jessica was on a trip to the desert when she got separated from her group. She noticed a sandstorm was coming her way. She had 3 options for what to do. She could try to run away from the sandstorm, she could hide behind a big rock, or she could try hiding in the desert's dry riverbed. Which one is Jessica's best option? Well, the first option is a terrible idea, as she will never run faster than a sandstorm. The riverbed is also not such a good idea, as it's too low and the sand from the storm can fill the entire hole in no time. Her best option would be to hide behind a big rock. After the storm passed, Jessica used the radio to send an SOS signal to the guide. The guide told her to sit tight. A rescue team would shortly be on its way to help her. In a few hours, 3 rescue teams came to help Jessica. She got suspicious and asked all the teams who had sent them. The first team said that they had heard the news on the radio that a woman was lost in the desert and came quickly to aid her. The second team said that the hotel she was staying in called the police for help. The last team said they received a radio call saying a woman was in distress and quickly came to help. Which rescue team should she trust? The last team. Jessica sent a message to her guide as soon as the storm was over, remember? Elsa was 17 years old the day before yesterday. Next year, she'll turn 20.
Yay.
How come? It's possible if the present day is January 1st, while Elsa's birthday is on the 31st of December. The day before yesterday, on December 30, she was still 17 years old. Yesterday, on the 31st of December, she turned 18. Thus, this year, Elsa turns 19 and next year, 20. Elsa and her sister Helga explore an old attic in their parents' house. It's very dark and dirty. After that, they go downstairs to have some lunch. Helga's face is all covered with dust, while Elsa's face is super clean. But still, only Elsa goes to the bathroom to wash her face. Why? Elsa noticed that her sister's face was dirty, so she thought her face must be dirty too. As for Helga, she saw that Elsa's face was clean and assumed that her own face was clean too. After lunch, Elsa and Helga go for a walk across an enchanted forest. They reach the riverbank, but the bridge is closed for repairs. The sisters notice 2 dwarfs fishing in a boat near the bridge. They agree to help the sisters, but their boat is very tiny. It can fit either one sister or 2 dwarfs. Luckily, they manage to solve this issue. Elsa and Helga cross the river on the same boat. How? Well, first of all, one of the dwarfs brought his fellow on the opposite bank. Then he headed back for the sisters alone. Helga got into the boat and crossed the river. She gave the second dwarf the boat, and he returned to the opposite bank. He picked his fellow dwarf and brought him to Helga. Then one of the dwarfs swam to Elsa and passed the boat to her. She crossed the river and joined Helga, and finally, the second dwarf returned to his fellow. Helga and Elsa keep on walking and get lost in the forest. There are 3 roads to the nearest town. The first route is filled with mutant plants which feed on humans. The second path leads through an ice cave with a hungry dragon frozen inside a huge ice cube. The third route leads through a village of fairies. Their magic makes humans lose their minds. Which way is safe? Well, the dragon is trapped inside the ice cube, so it's not that dangerous. Finally, the sisters reach the town. They're walking down the main street. Suddenly, someone throws an orange right at Helga's head. Elsa identifies the apartment from which the fruit fell out and goes there to complain. She knocks, and a young man opens the door right away. Elsa explains that her sister was hit by an orange that fell from his window. But the guy says, "I was washing my dog when you knocked. Only me and my pet live here, so you confused the floors." But Elsa didn't believe him. Why? According to the man, he was bathing his only pet, but the dog's hair is dry. Therefore, his story is fake. Elsa and Helga enter the local home decor shop. Helga takes a picture of her sister standing in front of the mirror. Can you spot anything odd in this photo? Take a closer look at the mirror. Elsa's hands are reflected wrong, as well as the sale poster behind her. She must be a vampire. Just kidding. The sisters continue exploring the shop, but suddenly Elsa begins to scream and runs away. That's because one of these ladies is not alive. Can you guess who? The first woman is an ordinary human. There's a mirror behind her. The third lady has a painting of herself in the background. And the second lady, who's looking over her shoulder, is a phantom. Her reflection in the mirror doesn't match the reality. Elsa decides to hide in a building nearby. Surprise! It's a pet shop. Elsa wanders around it and spots one weird detail. Can you see it too? The turtle is wearing sunglasses. The locals tell Elsa and Helga about a creepy werewolf who has been scaring the citizens for several weeks. They only know that this werewolf is a lady and she has a husband. He's the only person who can calm her down. Elsa finds 3 suspects who might be the werewolf's husband, but none of them admits it. Can you find him? He's the second guy. There are suspicious brownish hairs on his clothes, although his own hair is blonde. The next day, Helga has a birthday party. Elsa goes to the bakery to purchase a cake for her. She's late, so she rushes over and bumps into a waiter. Elsa hits her head and forgets what cake Helga asked her to buy. She remembers just 3 things. It shouldn't have any green elements, the cake frosting shouldn't include more than one color, and it must have at least 1 berry. Can you help Elsa find the correct cake? Elsa should take the 4th cake. It's a chocolate cheesecake, so it doesn't have anything green. The glazing is brown and is decorated with cherries. A perfect match. Elsa buys the cake and leaves. The bakery is located inside the highest tower in town. Elsa enters the elevator to go down, but she hits the wrong button and finds herself on the roof. She decides to take some pictures with the iconic huge clock installed at the top of this tower. Oops! Elsa drops her phone from the roof. She decides to leave, but someone has already locked the door, and the elevator won't work. So she's trapped on the roof. Luckily, Elsa can still change the time of the clock. What time should Elsa set on the clock to make someone notice and rescue her? If she sets 5:05 on the clock, it'll look like an SOS signal. Finally, Elsa escapes from the tower and heads to the parking lot. Here's her car. Can you figure out the number of the place where it's parked? '87. Elsa arrives home. Helga shows her vacation photos sent by her new boyfriend, Kyle. In this case, you can see Kyle, his friend Bob, and a humanoid robot, Neo. Neo is standing next to Bob. A person wearing the yellow mask is not a man. What color is Kyle's mask? According to the terms, only the third guy can be Kyle, so his mask is blue. The birthday party is going well. It's almost midnight, so Elsa goes to the kitchen and adds candles on the birthday cake. Suddenly, she remembers that the only lighter in the house is upstairs in her room. She leaves the cake at the table for a minute. Then Elsa returns and sees the cake smashed all over the floor.
Oh, no.
She questions 3 suspects. Lauren says, "I was in the living room all night. I don't know who did it." Wendy says, "I went outside to watch the full moon. It's so beautiful tonight." Kyle says, "I was shooting a TikTok dance with Helga." Who ruined the cake? Wendy. Take a look out the window. The moon is not full. Busted. The next morning, Helga wakes up earlier than Elsa and checks her feed. Breaking news: a legendary thief ran away from a nearby prison and now creeps around the town. He's a talented shapeshifter, so no one knows for sure what he might look like. Suddenly, Helga hears someone ringing on the door. She opens and faces 2 guys who introduce themselves. Bob is a gardener from a nearby park, and Peter is a garbage man. Both guys want to use a bathroom, so they ask Helga to let them in. But only one of them is safe to invite over. Can you guess who? Bob is wearing clothes with red stains, but he's also holding a brush, so he was probably just painting a fence. Let's take a closer look at Peter's facial hair. One mustache has come unglued. It's fake. So he must be the runaway criminal from the news.
Edward and Stan are best friends. Edward lives with his wife, Leah, and Stan lives alone. Can you spot Stan's house? There's a love note on the fridge in the right kitchen. Therefore, Stan lives in the left one. Edward is furious because Leah cleaned his home office without permission. Can you spot 5 changes? Here they are. A lot of neighbors gather for Edward's garage sale. One of them is a robot. Can you guess who? This gentleman. Stan is visiting a food court and finds 2 similar bakeries. Can you spot 5 differences between them? Over here. What about these burger places? Can you find 10 differences? Here they are. Can you spot a mistake in this menu? Tuna isn't an ice cream. What about this coffee menu? Any mistakes? Free toppings have a price. Stan works in an agency that holds super secret investigations. They're looking for people with superpowers all over the planet. One day, an anonymous user broke into their corporate system where all the data was stored. Stan finds 3 suspects who are capable of such crimes and interrogates them. He asks only one question. What did you manage to find out when you stole the data? Billy says, I haven't done this kind of crime for 15 years. I don't want to go back to prison. Anna says, I was going to steal your data, but I changed my mind. You didn't have any valuable information. Nobody will believe in superheroes. And Liam replies,
Bruh, if I committed such a crime, I would have covered all traces.
Who's lying? Anna. She couldn't have learned the secret information without breaking into their system. Stan is visiting a fashion show. He received a clue that one of these models can be a robot. Can you guess who? The second lady. She has a USB outlet on her neck. The robot model, Nina, is very famous, and nobody knows that she's not human. Stan invites her to his office. Nina confesses,
I arrived from another planet to study human behavior.
unfortunately, someone recorded their secret interrogation and posted it online. Only 4 people were in the office at that moment. Stan questions them. Ryan, the cleaner, says,
I was vacuuming the 5th floor and couldn't hear anything.
Mia, the manager, says,
I'm a huge fan of Nina, even though she's not a human. I would never set her up like that.
And the guard, Billy, says,
I didn't hear your conversation. I was watching a football match in my headphones.
Who's lying? Ryan. Their office is a 4-story building. Nina invites Stan over for dinner. She lives in a big, circular house with a maid, a butler, and a gardener. Nina goes to her room to change. Suddenly, Stan hears her scream and runs to her.
Oh no, someone broke into my safe and stole my diamond necklace.
Stan interrogates the staff. The butler says he was organizing the library. The maid says that she was dusting the corners. And the gardener says she was watering the roses. Who's lying? The maid. She was dusting the corners, but Nina lives in a circular house. So there are no corners. Stan invites Nina to a fancy restaurant to refute rumors that she's a robot. Can you spot any mistakes in this menu? They confused pomegranate with meat. Stan leaves the table to wash his hands and returns in 2 minutes. Can you spot 5 changes? Here they are. Nina slips and falls on the floor. Now she needs to replace a broken fragment in her body as soon as possible. Stan takes her to a secret lab. They need to enter a 3-digit code to open the door. He starts looking for clues and notices some tips written on the wall. But the last digit is erased. Can you help them crack the password? The digits indicate the points of intersections of the lines, so the last digit is 4. They open the door and enter a spacious hallway. A note on the wall says, "Lab is behind the purple door." Can you help the guys find the purple door? The first door is wooden, but it has an inscription and an arrow indicating that the purple door is on the right. The second door is painted blue and red, so it doesn't fit. Let's take a closer look at the third door. There's purple color under the layer of yellow paint, so the guys choose this door. Nina throws a party at her house and invites Stan. He receives an anonymous message. There's a werewolf among the guests. Can you find this person? The first lady is wearing very long nails, and the second guy has a heavy beard. But it doesn't prove anything.
But let's take a look at the third lady. She's trying to hide her shiny yellow wolf eyes under her fancy sunglasses. In the kitchen, Stan meets 3 chefs preparing delicious meals. One of them is a criminal. Can you guess who? The third lady. She's adding glass fragments to the food. Stan calls the police and they arrest the third chef. She confesses that one of the guests, John, bribed her. He asked her to put glass in Stan's plate, but there are 3 Johns at the party. The officer asks one of them just one question. How do you know Stan? John 1 says, I'm a billionaire and I don't do interrogations without my lawyer. John 2 says, I came here to see Nina because she's my crush. I've never seen Stan before. And John 3 says, Stan and I went to the same college. I haven't seen him for many years, but today we met by chance. Who's lying? John 1. He's wearing a fake Gucci sweater. It's unlikely that he's a billionaire. The next day, Stan wakes up in a dusty basement. A creepy voice says that Stan can pass through one of these 3 doors. Behind the first door, there's a tank with crocodiles. Jungles full of wild animals are hiding behind the second door, and there's a giant blue whale behind the third door. It can easily swallow an adult human. Which door is more or less safe? Stan should pick the third door. Whales can't survive without water. Therefore, it's not a threat. Stan returns to his office and finds out that someone has stolen the most expensive superhero costume from the lab. Only 3 people knew about this artifact and had a key: Mia, Billy, and Rose. Stan questions everyone. Mia says, I was feeling sick yesterday, so I went home. Billy says, I locked the office at 10 p.m. and carried my key with me. And Rose says, I carried out technical testing of the suit in the afternoon. After that, I locked it up and left. Who stole the costumes? Mia. She's wearing a superhero costume under her clothes. Stan offers Mia a deal.
If I write your exact weight on a piece of paper, you'll give the costume back.
Mia agrees and gives Stan a piece of paper and a pen. In a minute, she returns the costume. How did Stan do it? Stan literally did what he said. He wrote the phrase, your exact weight, on the paper. Stan needs to find new investors for his agency. That's why he's meeting 3 people, and each offers Stan a deal. Mallory says, I used to have unique superpowers when I was little, but I didn't develop them. Now I'm old and rich, and I want to invest in your lab to help people like me. Cherry says, my parents left me billions of dollars. I want to invest in progressive projects. And Alfred says,
Look, I can help you develop your agency, but I want to have a controlling stake and hire my own staff.
One of them is a liar. Can you guess who? Take a closer look at Mallory's hand. She's a robot. Therefore, her story is a lie, because robots don't age. One day, Amy decided to explore an abandoned house in her neighborhood. She went inside by herself. The place was eerie and strange. She started by exploring the garden, but got distracted looking at some flowers and suddenly fell into a 20-foot deep pool. The pool was empty, but when she fell inside, she activated a sensor that said the pool would be filled with water in only 5 minutes. Amy was scared because she was a bad swimmer,
She looked around and noticed a 6-foot-long rope lying at the bottom of the pool. She also saw a 4-foot-wide wooden barrel and a 3-foot-tall metal safe. Amy was 6 feet tall, and she managed to get out of the pool safely. Can you guess how she did it? Well, once the water started rising, Amy held tight to the wooden barrel. It helped her stay afloat and get out of the pool safe and sound. She could only enter the house through a door with a 5-digit combination lock. Amy looked around for some clues and found a piece of paper with 5 digits, 8, 1, 1, 6, 9. She tried this code, but it didn't work. Soon, she realized what was wrong. Can you figure it out as well? She was holding the paper upside down. The correct code is 69118. Finally, she got inside the main house. In the living room, she discovered that the mansion was not abandoned after all. There were 4 ladies waiting for her. Each of them offered to guide Amy around the house. Which woman do you think is the safest choice? Well, the first woman doesn't cast a shadow, so she's probably a vampire. The third woman has a vampire bite on her neck, which means she's going to turn into a vampire pretty soon. The fourth lady has snakes in her hair, which means a big no-no. So Amy is left with lady number 2 as her guide. The lady led Amy to another room. She gave the girl a chocolate bar and told her she had a challenge for her. The guide was going to perform a few tricks for Amy, and after each trick, she needed to give the guide 1/7 of the chocolate bar. But Amy was only allowed to cut the bar into 2 parts. It was also impossible to break the bar or cut it without a special knife. In this case, what is the best strategy for cutting the chocolate bar? Amy should make 2 cuts, dividing the bar into 3 pieces. The first piece should be 1/7 of the bar, the second piece 2/7 of the bar, and the third one 4/7 of the bar. The guide performed a crazy magic trick, and Amy gave her 1/7 of the bar. After the second trick, she gave the lady 2/7 of the bar and asked her to give the 1/7 piece back. After the third trick, she gave the guide the smallest piece again. Then, after the fourth trick, Amy took away the first 2 pieces and gave the woman the 4/7 piece. After the 5th trick, she added the 1/7 piece again. After the 6th trick, the girl took away the 1/7 piece and gave the guide the 2/7 piece. And after the grand finale, she gave the woman the smallest part of the bar again. After she finished performing tricks, the lady locked Amy inside the room. In a bizarre twist, the door she had entered through disappeared, and the girl could only see another door in the corner of the room. That door was sealed with a letter combination lock. Amy looked around the room and found a slip of paper. That's what was written on it. P plus 3, N minus 1, B minus 1, N plus 4, S plus 1. What's the code word? The code word is SMART. The key to this riddle was hidden in the alphabet. P plus the following 3 letters is S. N minus 1 letter is M, and so on. Amy left this room and found a staircase leading to the basement. She went down and saw that her guide was downstairs waiting for her. The guide told her she needed to choose between the 3 drinks on the table in front of them. Only one of the drinks was not poisoned. The drinks were tea with sugar, cappuccino, and hot chocolate. What should Amy pick? If it was indeed sugar in the tea, it would have already melted completely, but the sugar cubes are still in there. The foam on top of the cappuccino looks suspiciously green. It's probably unsafe to drink it. So, Amy should opt for the hot chocolate. The guide opened the back door of the house and told her to leave and never come back. Amy found herself in the street and saw a car standing nearby with its engine already running. She got inside and decided to drive back to her house. However, it was so foggy that she got lost and ended up in a deserted town. By then, she was hungry, thirsty, and really tired. Suddenly, Amy saw 3 doors leading to different houses. It was written that behind the first door, there was loads of food. Behind the second door, there was all the water she could drink. And behind the third door, there was a stash of $1 million. Which door should Amy open first? Well, the car door. Duh. Amy managed to find her way back to her hometown and arrived home in the early morning. As soon as she entered her house, she noticed her laptop was missing. It looked like someone had broken into her house because there were footprints on the floor leading to the living room window. Amy called the police and told them about the case. In a day's time, the detective gathered 4 possible suspects. The first person was Jack, Amy's childhood friend. He said he hadn't left his house over the past few days because he'd been working on an important project for his work. Then there was Robert, Amy's next-door neighbor. He said he'd been taking care of his garden the entire week, but he hadn't seen anyone break into Amy's place. Mallory, Amy's coworker, said she'd been away on vacation during the past week. And Susanna, Amy's housekeeper, said that last time she'd come to clean Amy's place, the laptop had still been there. The detective knew immediately who had done it. How could he tell? Look at Robert's garden. He said he'd been taking care of it, but the flowers are all withered and dry. Amy's friend Bill called her saying that he had a surprise for her. He said he had won several tickets to the concert of Amy's favorite pop band. He would give her a ticket if she figured out the answer to a very difficult riddle. Amy managed to crack the riddle and got the ticket. The riddle went like this. You don't have them when you're born, but you get them later. In several years, you don't have them anymore, but then they come again, in a different form. Many years later, they might leave you again. What are they? They are your teeth. Hey, my dear detective, I've got a portion of new head-scratching riddles. Are you ready? Then buckle up. A foreign tourist came to a police station. He said, "A guy with a tattoo and a long beard forced me to give him my wallet." The police officer told him, "Don't worry, the criminal is one of these quintuplets. They've already been arrested. You just have to identify the one who attacked you." Look at these men. Can you help the tourist figure out who the attacker was? Not this guy. He has a tattoo on his left arm. Not this one. He can only use one hand. This guy has a short beard. This guy is wearing a cast, which leaves us with this man. Now, I've got a few rebus puzzles for you to crack. How hard can it be? This rebus is tasty. It stands for scrambled eggs. How about this one? It means misunderstanding between friends. What could this mean? It's downtown. You're walking through the park when you hear footsteps behind your back, and everything goes black. When you come to your senses, you find yourself in a dark basement illuminated by 15 burning candles.
I'll set you free if you solve my riddle correctly. But if not, you won't ever leave this place.
Oh no, there's someone in the shadows.
You see 15 candles. I'll blow out 6 of them. How many candles will remain?
What's going to be your answer? If you tell the mysterious person that 6 candles will remain, they'll let you go. After all, the rest of the candles will eventually burn down completely, all but the 6 which have been blown out. Someone stole expensive jewelry from Mrs. Doris's hotel room. It happened around 6 a.m.
When the police came, the hotel owner told them that there was a heavy snowfall early in the morning. It destroyed all the evidence. Suddenly, one of the police officers spotted an infamous criminal. He had been accused of committing several robberies, but always managed to get away with it. The man denied being at the hotel at the time.
I only came half an hour ago,
He claimed. The police officers immediately understood he was lying. How? There's a thick layer of snow on the criminal's car. If he had been driving to the hotel, there would be no snow on the hood. It would have melted or got blown away by the wind. And since it's sunny now, it can't be new snow. Clara was in her hotel room when she heard someone knock on her door. She looked through the peephole and saw an unknown man standing outside. He introduced himself. "Hi, I'm the hotel manager. Sorry to bother you, but our database has crashed. Could you let me in to confirm some information?" Clara immediately rushed to her phone and called the security. Why? The badge on the man's shirt says Chloe Smith, and that's a female name, which means the man is a fake manager. Damien had problems with money. That's why he had to sell the only valuable thing he had, an expensive painting of a 17th century artist. The man who bought it showed the canvas to his friend, a police detective. After looking at the picture attentively, the detective said that the painting was a fake. How did he figure it out? There are electric power lines in the picture, but they didn't exist in the 17th century. Now, look at these teachers. Can you figure out which of them is a millionaire? A, B, or C? Ha! Tricked ya! It's actually not a riddle, but a mini psychological test. If you decided that teacher A is a millionaire, you're amazingly energetic. You're also spontaneous and always ready to explore new places. If your choice was teacher B, big noisy parties aren't for you. They can leave you emotionally drained. And if you thought the millionaire was teacher C, you're a social butterfly and the soul of any party. So, how true is this? Tell me in the comments below.
Yeah.
Detective Thomas went camping with his friends. At one point, he went to get some firewood. When he got back, he saw one of his friends, Alice, lying on the ground unconscious. There were 3 other people in the camp: Julie, Alice's friend, Mary, Alice's sister, and Adam, Alice's boyfriend. Thomas asked all of them to show him their belongings. Look at their stuff and try to figure out who has something to do with the state Alice is in. It's Julie. If you look attentively, you'll notice a picture of Adam among her things. She must have a crush on him. She likely hurt Alice out of jealousy. Eve went on an expedition to Antarctica with a group of scientists. 3 days into the expedition, Eve woke up and found out that all of her colleagues were missing. The only thing she found was an envelope. Inside, there was a letter. Apparently, a crazy scientist had taken her friends, and now Eve could only save them by cracking his riddles. Here's the first one. How many months have 28 days? The number you'll get is the number of feet you'll need to walk before you start digging. Eve knew the correct answer. All 12 months have 28 days. She walked 12 feet and started digging. The next clue was waiting for her there. It was a bag with a book, a can of paint, a screwdriver, and a note that said that the scientist had locked Eve's friends in his lab in a cave. It didn't take Eve long to find the cave, but there were 4 entrances leading inside. Passage 1 was guarded by venomous spiders. Passage 2 had a huge and pretty aggressive monkey blocking the entrance. In Passage 3, Eve saw a mammoth. And at the entrance to Passage 4, there was a bottomless well. Which tunnel should Eve choose? The third one. Mammoths have been extinct for thousands of years, so the animal the girl sees is likely a hologram. Eve entered the lab and saw a dog inside, but it wasn't a regular dog, it was a robot dog. Barking, it ran after Eve. The girl remembered she had a book, a can of paint, and a screwdriver in the bag she had found. What can she use to get rid of the robot? Eve should open the can with paint and throw it at the robot. Since the paint is liquid, it will likely cause the robo-dog to short-circuit. Eve breathed out in relief and started looking around. Suddenly, she saw a key on the floor. The girl picked it up and went to the next room. As soon as she walked in, the door closed behind her back, and a bizarre-sounding voice started to speak.
In 15 minutes, toxic gas will fill the room. Your only chance to survive is to take the antidote before the gas is released.
At this moment, Eve spotted a small box. She opened it and saw 4 pills and an instruction.
Take 4 pills, one every 15 minutes.
Will Eve have time to take all the pills before the gas fills the room? Yes, absolutely. The first 15 minutes will start after she takes the first pill, so taking 4 pills will take her 45 minutes. Eve got out of the room and finally found her friends, all tied up. She immediately set them free, but they needed to get out of there as soon as possible. They saw 3 doors leading outside. Behind the first door, there were hungry polar bears. Behind the second door, the air was so cold it was impossible to survive there. And behind the third door, there was a waist-deep lake with piranhas. Which way should the friends choose? The third one. The lab is in an ice cave, remember? The water in the lake will be frozen. They will simply walk on the ice and get out of the cave. Freedom! Erica works at the Railway Security Service. This morning, she received an emergency alert. There's a person with fake documents trying to escape to Canada by train. Erica and her colleagues found 3 suspects who look almost the same. Can you identify a criminal just by looking at one's passport? No matter what country a person is from, no passport can have a photo with mountains in the background, so these documents are fake. Bob is a college teacher. He invited his worst student, Dan, for a conversation. Bob wants to test the guy's logical thinking. He says, "If you tell a lie, I will expel you from college, and if you tell the truth, I'll still expel you." What should the student say to stay in college? Bob should say, "I'm telling lies." This phrase will create a paradox because it cannot be a lie or the truth. Nancy has 10 bowling balls. Her brother Josh decided to check her intelligence, so he asked Nancy to place those 10 balls in 5 lines, such that each of the lines has exactly 4 balls on them. Can you help her accomplish this task? She should draw a 5-point star and place the 10 balls occupying the corners and the intersection points. Voila! 5 lines with 4 balls in each row. Kevin has been hitchhiking in a desert for hours. Finally, one driver stopped and said,
I will give you a ride wherever you want, but first, you gotta crack my riddle. Which letter can make the road larger?
Can you help Kevin solve this task? The letter B can turn road into broad. Alex is a shepherd. He had 30 sheep, out of which all but 13 ran away. Can you calculate how many sheep Alex has now? He has 13 sheep. The phrase all but 13 ran away actually means that all except the 13 escaped. Take a look at these 3 prisoners. The first guy pushes the iron bars. The second guy shakes muscles with dumbbells. The third guy sits and reads a book. There's a picture hanging on the wall. Can you say for sure who's likely to escape? Take a closer look at the third guy. Can you see the sand under the painting? He must be digging a tunnel and covering it with a picture, so he's the one who wants to escape. All Becky's shoes are black except 2. Also, all Becky's shoes are red except 2. And all Becky's shoes are yellow except 2. Can you calculate how many shoes Becky has in general? Just 3, one of each color. Dr. Smith prescribed Dan expensive vitamins. He gave Dan 2 bottles labeled R and B. The pills are entirely identical. The doctor asked Dan to take 1 pill daily from the R bottle and 1 pill from the B bottle. He can't take more or less than that. One morning, Dan was taking out the pills. He took out 1 pill from the R bottle as usual, and then, by mistake, he took out 2 from the B bottle. Now Dan has no idea which pill is which. He can't just throw away the expensive pills. What would you suggest? Dan should cut each of the 3 pills in half and put each half in 2 piles. Now each of the 2 piles will contain half of pill R and 2 halves of pill B. Now, Dan should take 1 more pill from the R bottle, cut it into half, and put the 2 halves in 2 different piles. This way, we'll know that each pile will have 2 halves of pill R and 2 halves of pill B, or 1 complete R pill and 1 complete B pill. Dan can take 1 pile today and keep the second pile for tomorrow. I am red, but I smell like blue paint. What am I? Red paint. Timmy's mother has 3 sons. She named her first son April. The next one's name is May. Can you guess the youngest son's name? And the correct answer is Timmy. Pretty obvious, huh? Can you spot what's wrong in this picture? The reflection in the mirrors doesn't match reality. What about this picture? Can you see anything odd? These 2 ladies seem completely fine, but there's a bandage on this guy's leg. No one would go to a swimming pool if they had big scratches, unless they're a zombie. The king of octopuses has sons, who have 6, 7, or 8 legs. The one with 7 legs always lies, but the one with either 6 or 8 legs always tells the truth. On a certain night, 4 sons meet and chat. The blue octopus says, "We have 28 legs altogether." The green one says, "We have 27 legs altogether." The purple one says, "We have 26 legs altogether." And the red octopus says, "We have 25 legs altogether." Can you identify the color of the sun who's speaking the truth? The green sun is telling the truth. To prove it, let us first assume that one of them is telling the truth. Obviously, 3 of the 4 suns lie as they disagree with each other. Let's suppose that the blue octopus is telling the truth. In that case, he has either 6 or 8 legs. And each of the other octopuses is lying, which means they have 7 legs. In this case, the total number of legs will be 6 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7 equals 27 legs, or 8 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7 equals 29 legs. But the blue octopus said that they have 28 legs altogether. Therefore, he lies. Now we can follow the same logic and check the remaining 3 suns. And we'll find out that only the green octopus is telling the truth. I have an eye, but cannot see. I'm faster than any man alive, but have no limbs. What am I? The correct answer is hurricane. I know a word of letters 3. Add 2 and there will be fewer. Can you guess the word? The correct answer is few. I have a beard without being a man. I'm green, but I'm not a lizard. I'm white, but I'm not snow. Who am I? The correct answer is leek. A wicked wizard has imprisoned Billy in his tower. Billy ran away from the wizard, but now he needs to choose between these 3 doors leading outside the tower. There's a toxic gas behind the first door. The second path is full of poisonous scorpions and snakes. And behind the third door, there's a pride of lions which haven't eaten for 3 years. Which way is the safest? The third one. The lions can't starve for 3 years and still be alive. Monica adores real estate. She used to spend $300,000 per house and acquired property worldwide. She realized that she had too many houses at one point, so she started selling them at $30,000 per house. How is that possible if she was obviously losing money? Before selling her property, Monica used to be a billionaire. Since she started losing money, she became only a millionaire.